What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of The Orange Rewind. The Orange Rewind, that's right, the show where I take one of my favorite game-changing tracks from the history of techno and house music, give a little history, chop it up in the studio to see how it was made, then give an interview with the artist at the end of the video. Today's artist is Dave Clarke, and the track is Wisdom to the Wise, otherwise known as Red 2. Here we go. The year was 1994, and the world of techno and house music could not escape the sounds of Wisdom to the Wise. From the deeper sounding clubs of New York to the upfront techno raves of Europe and Asia, the Red 2 EP by Dave Clarke was a heavily anticipated and welcome guest on every weekend's dance floor. Released on Bush Records as 2 of 3 in Dave Clarke's Red series. Red 1, the previous release in the series, also a classic in its own right, started to put Dave more widely on the musical map and was a stepping stone to help set the stage for the even bigger success of Red 2. With its Detroit techno-style chords, strong 909 drums, and fantastic use of spacious effects, it had a slightly more melodic and crossover feel than Red 1, which helped it find its way into the record box of both techno and house DJs, including Jeff Mills, Laurent Garnier, Carl Cox, Billy Nasty, Christian Smith, Dave Angel, even DJ Kioki, resident of the famous Limelight in New York City, Danny Rampling, and many more. The flip side on Red 2 is a track called Gonk. Heavy drums and a bit moodier chords delivers another effective dance floor workout. The bass line that comes in is a nod to Dave's electro influences. His electro music is just as outstanding as his techno. There's a lot of crossover, so it makes perfect sense. Since Red 2, Dave Clarke has had a string of successful singles, mix albums, and LPs. His remixes have been sought after by some of the biggest acts like Depeche Mode, Fatboy Slim, Moby, Chemical Brothers, Gary Newman, Faithless, and Afrohead's In the Dark We Live. A classic which I plan to cover in a future episode. BBC Radio's famous presenter John Peel dubbed Dave Clarke the Baron of Techno for his unique take on techno music. Heavily supported by John Peel, Dave went on to start his first label, Magnetic North, hosting early releases from acts like Christian Vogel, Woody McBride, and DJ Hell. Not one to hold back his opinion and honesty on his critique of dance music culture, his no bullshit approach is quite refreshing.
Has anybody ever said to you, that's not DJing? Because I do hear that sometimes.
I don't give a fuck.
Great answer.
It's what I'm doing, and you don't like it, go away, it's fine.
As a DJ, Dave has played the biggest events in the world. His technical mastery and hip-hop style DJing tricks and techniques are some of the best and most creative around. I was lucky enough to catch Dave playing at Monegros in Spain in 2006, Sonar in 2007, and then in ADE at the Dockyards Fest. And each time I was blown away. His own curated events, Dave Clarke Presents, are not to be missed at places like Tomorrowland and ADE. His radio show White Noise is almost at the 800 episodes milestone. Dave says it's his way of giving back to the community, and I agree. Let's go to the studio, chop it up, and see what made Red 2 Wisdom to the Wise an absolute game changer.
Rewind.
Alright guys, here we are in the studio. Let's talk about what made Wisdom to the Wise a game-changing track. There's a lot of effects, a lot of delays, a lot of kind of phasing, a lot of stereo. It's recorded very well, EQ'd and compressed tightly. A strong piano, a really, really strong piano chord. We're working at 134 BPM today. We start with a 909 kick drum, EQ'd very tightly and compressed very tightly. just like that. We've got it over here on the sampler. We've got our Pioneer SP16 TOR003 here today. And the next elements that come in are a 909 clap with delay and the chord, the piano chord, the famous piano chord, and a 909 ride. So here we have our 909 clap. Here we have our 909 ride. And here we have the piano chord, which is a sample from Let's Get Brutal by Nitro Deluxe. Aldo Marin, Cutting Records, very famous label, responsible for hits like Al Nafish, the famous electro tune. A lot of Todd Terry worked on that label. The famous electro tune. Let's see how Dave used this chord. Little bit of distortion, and I have a lower pitched one octave down. So let's start with our kick, bringing in our clap. And I want to point out, very cool effects work here when the chord comes in at the beginning. On Dave's version, the delay comes in pre-delay from the loop. The loop is filtered down, the piano chord is filtered down, but the delay, you could hear it bouncing like speaker to speaker from the top frequencies, from the higher frequencies. There's the clap again. So I've got the piano running through the filter on the Allen and Heath PX5. And this is also running with the pre-delay. Let's go back to Dave's, and we've got the first reverse string that comes in straight into the 909 ride, right? So let's check that. So that's a reverse string. I have a pretty good hunch this reverse string came from Marshall Jefferson, the house music anthem. It's that first string right there. Maybe we drop it a few semitones. That sounds pretty close to me. I'm going to use Dave's for now, just to speed things up. And again, reverse string into the 909 ride. So and then the loop slowly starts to filter up the piano chord. Rides come out. There are a few instances where the kick filters up, like that. The high pass filter from the Dave Smith analog filter here. Moving on, we've got, and comes in with this top loop, almost like a housey loop. So we've got a little housey loop here. We're gonna throw it on top. Bring the effects up. This is basically the whole track. We've got Dave just bringing the piano, filtering up and down, creating different build-ups, you know, dropping in the rides, bringing this loop in, this little housey loop thing. Playing with the effects, like a lot of effects going speaker to speaker. There you have Wisdom to the Wise, or as quick as we can get in this short amount of time. So we've got the piano, we've got that reverse string, which I think came from that, pretty close I think. We've got the piano stab, with a lot of effects, just like amazing use of effects. And there you go. Stay tuned for an interview with Dave Clarke.
Rewind.
Hey Dave, thanks a lot for joining us today. The Red 2 EP came out in 1994. I know that was a long time ago, but do you remember what you were thinking about when you wrote Wisdom to the Wise? And where were you when you wrote it?
Okay, so 1994, I actually recorded it in the summer of 92.
Okay.
But in those days, a lot of things took time to come out. You know, now you can just do a fart and give it to everyone and everyone smells it instantly in a euphoric moment of fart smell. But before, you'd have to actually really think about what you're doing. And there were charts, you know, a lot of people would have the same records in their top 10 for like 4 or 5 months sometimes, because there were a lot of records, but records meant more because people put more thought behind them. So I recorded it in about a year and a half before, a year or 3 months before, around 92, I think.
Okay.
And I was living in Brighton, of course, where I was born. And I lived there for a few more years after that came out. And what I was doing was I was playing in very small clubs. I was avoiding the rave scene that was happening at that time, like, if you excuse the pun, like the plague. I didn't want to be part of the rave scene because it really was very, very commercial. I mean, like really very, very commercial. And I was playing at a few events, like some hip hop events. And I remember like warming up for the Jungle Brothers and True Mathematics.
Nice.
At the Zap Club. And
you were using your real name, or were you DJing under an alias? Okay.
Yeah. Oh, I might have gone under Hardcore, which was my first record that I did on Excel. But yeah, I mean, so I was doing that and sort of learning the scene at the same time. Like about 2 years before, I was getting booted off and thrown cans off hip hop jams because I was playing like acid house. Okay. And then before that, I was doing a roller disco, not Kenny Dope Call, unfortunately, but I was doing a roller disco and I was playing acid house really fucking fast so people could speed skate. And then I had like a strobe light that I put on, and then people used to take their shoes off and dance, and then I got fired from the roller disco. So claim to fame. But I was making music. I was starting off with making more serious music. I had an Atari ST 1040, not the 520. I was like really fucking like, you know, like bling in those days. So at the 1040, I was working on Cubase at the time, actually. Okay. Before that, I was working on C-Lab Notator, which is Logic, which I'm now using. So I was using Cubase and doing other things like some hip hop with some friends, which I actually played the other day on my Saga radio show. It was actually about the destruction of the planet called Planet Infected, which I did with a guy called Carl. So I was doing lots of different things and sort of enjoying it, but trying to stay away from the rave scene because it was so commercial and so not about the music in my mind. So I was doing small clubs. I'd already had my first international gig, ironically, in Amsterdam before then. And just putting my head down, making music and just enjoying it and getting support from people like John Peel. Because obviously before then I had a record label called Magnetic North.
Yes.
And John was heavily supporting that. And then I did the remix for Felix, which is called In the Dark We Live, because I cheekily sampled a Bam Bam track, In the Dark We Live, on Desire Records, I think it was.
Okay.
And we retitled it In the Dark We Live because it was in the light, and I'm always the darker person, of course. obviously not skin tone, because obviously Felix is much darker than me, but I'm talking about, like mood.
Yes.
So I did that, and that went down really, really well. And I did 2 mixes, like 312 for 313, and Chicago and Detroit, the old telephone numbers in those days. I was also a journalist, so I was writing reviews for ID Magazine, Mixmag, had my own piece in Generator, so I was writing it. I interviewed Felix for Generator. I think I gave him his first big piece in the UK. I met him in London on a boat, actually. We talked, did the interview. And then I got the remix, which was really cool, because Felix was really prolific in those days.
He was.
And so I actually wrote, or however you communicated in those days to people, definitely not via email. And I really want to do a remix of the Felix the Housecat track, because I think it came into a record shop then. I was like, fuck, I could do something with this. I really want to do it. And I got the remix, and the remix went really, really down really well. And then I said I want it on blue vinyl. And then, of course, they wanted stuff from me on my own. And then Red One came out. But I said, if you want to release records of me, you have to say Red 103.
Right.
So that way, ironically, and I sort of wish I didn't now, but we can maybe not get into that later on, but I wanted to have a record deal that lasted some time. As
3 releases, okay.
Yeah, because a lot of people were just releasing different names, We had so many people just releasing, like Joe Beltram were releasing so many different names, Frankie Bones were releasing so many different names. Everyone had different nom de plumes all the time. And I just was like a little bit tired of that, because obviously it's great when you're trying to find out who you're trying to be, who you want to be and what you are. And obviously with Excel and then Magnetic North and RNS, I could invent things to find out where I wanted to go. And then I found out I am who I am. I want to be who I am. I have my own sound now. I'm happy to put my name to it. So that's how that came about. And then, so Red 2 then got released obviously after Red 1, but was actually ironically recorded before Red 1.
Okay.
It was done through a Tascam keyboard mixer that's rack mount with BBE. I don't know how technical you want me to get. With BBE in there, and I used to love BBE. I've still got the software version of BBE. It was like my little secret weapon at the time, actually. Cool. What it did to bass was cool. And then it went through, it was recorded through a compressor, the Alessi 3630, which Thomas Bancoulter was asking me, how do you get your music so loud? And I was like, well, I use this compressor, and then they started using it. Which is cool. And I also said I use this guy called Nils at the Exchange, who sadly passed away about 8 years, 9 years ago.
Legend.
But he was wonderful. I actually really enjoyed my sit-ins with him to do the mastering, because obviously now people just do a fart, send it off to someone else, they brush up the fart, and then it comes out. Right. But in those days, you'd have to really, really commit. And so Nils got introduced to me through John Truelove because of Magnetic North, and they would use him through can't remember, Key Services or Key Audio would actually book it out, and I'd sit there with Nils and I'd learn a lot. I'd be going, well, what's going on here? Well, you should have the bass in mono and these frequencies. You can do this, and he would push the shit out of the lathe. I mean, he was like seriously brilliant. So I already had a compressed signal, and then he was pushing it even further. And then, that's how it all came out. And I recorded it actually because it was a year and a half before Red 1. I actually recorded it onto cassette as a master. So the master came off a TDK MAXG. Okay. Recorded it on a domestic Technics, but with HX Pro tape machine.
That's amazing. Of all the dance floor reactions you've seen to Wisdom to the Wise, where was your favorite one? And was it during one of your own DJ sets or someone else's?
Well, the weirdest reaction was when Keoki played it at the Slimelight. He sort of, I was beckoned towards him, like the DJs are now, like they're royalty in their own heads, right? So I was beckoned towards DJ Keoki at the Slimelight. And I went up there, I was like, why am I being beckoned? What's going on? Is there going to be sort of like cake and tea and cucumber sandwiches? What's happening? And he came up to me and he kissed my hand. That was the bizarrest moment. but then I sort of realized that, shit, this is international. It's really weird. Like Keoki's kissing my hand. This is weird. I mean, I think Genia Vasquez was playing
sure
it's
he
a
was.
lot as well. You know, a lot of these old school house DJs that were really, really important for the whole scene developing sort of came up to me as if I was some sort of like deity. It was really bizarre. I didn't understand. So that was the weirdest one. I think the best moment I ever had when I actually played live in Tribal Gathering, and that might have been 1996, 97. I'm not sure the exact year. And I played my own music for the first time live.
Wow, cool.
Because I've never really been, of course, you play your own music from time to time. And I've never been the kind of ego person that would just play a whole set of my own music. And before I go further on, I'd like to make sure that I don't include people like Jeff Mills in that, because Jeff Mills has the fucking right to play his own music in there because it's such a vast library and it's not egotistical. But a lot of people do play their own music for ego. And this was the first time that I actually put together a whole set of my own music. And it freaked the shit out of me. I was so nervous. And then I remember being in this tent, being really emotional, because it was really weird, because from memory, I think I was on at the same time as Kraftwerk or something, maybe it's different. Yeah. So I thought, no one's going to fucking watch me. Everyone's going to watch Kraftwerk playing off their hard drive. You know, no one's going to watch me at all. And the tent was fucking full. I was like really shocked, honestly shocked. Amazing. I mean, obviously Kraftwerk wasn't empty. Kraftwerk was also full. I didn't, you know, there wasn't like three people there like checking on a board which track they're playing, which version of Trans Europe Express they're playing. I was like, oh, is that version on the hard drive? Yeah. No, I mean, they were full, of course, but I just didn't expect to be full, because Kraftwerk, being legendary, would obviously, you know, and people were there, and I was like, shit, this is amazing. And I had a real tearful moment. It rose, it was a guttural moment. It rose from here when I played it, and then when I filtered it up, the crowd just lost it. And I was like, this is my music, and they're losing it to my music, and I'm playing my music. This is mad. And I don't think any other moment can top that.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
If Dave Clarke was ever to bust out in a full breakdance, what electro record would be playing?
Oh, damn.
Like a full breakdance.
Anything from Arthur Baker. Anything from Arthur Baker, I think, has to be, you know, have to be saying funky like the Criminal Element Orchestra, put the needle on the record, straight into saying by Mantronics. I met Mantronics, he's fucking cool as well. Something by Mantronics like King of the Beats.
Hell yeah.
Into B-Boy's Revenge, and then into, man, it's like the one that does that weird coughing like in the record, like, you know, with the weird beats. I had that in my Electro Boogie.
Oh, okay.
Can't remember who that was. And then probably into something really, really cheesy like Two Sisters. Hi, noon, and stuff like that, and shit like that. And then probably into some weird Micmac record.
Nice freestyle.
Then probably into Corporation of Corporation of One with This Is the Real Life, which took me ages to realize they sampled Simple Minds.
I didn't know that.
And then into Bambaata's theme, which of course is John Carpenter. I mean, I can go on forever and ever and ever. You know, I think I cried when I watched that movie when the guy was cutting up an ali fish. I think it was a story about Dr. Dre or something. I can't remember. And he was like lying down, listening to like Kool and the Gang. I think it was like playing air piano. And then the DJ was in the garage playing two copies of Rock, Ride, and Fish, Rock, Ride. And when that shit kicks off, boom, 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 it's just like, and I can still body pop, man. I can still do it. I can still fucking do it.
I want to see it.
This is not only for fans. It's not
fair enough. What is your favorite heavy metal band?
Pass.
All right.
No, I mean seriously. I mean, like, I unfortunately we heard today that Van Halen died.
Yeah, I was going to mention.
And everyone's playing Jump, and I just find the irony really weird, because it's like there's no guitar on that record. It's a synthesizer. What the fuck? I don't get it. Yeah. Okay, might as well jump. Okay, it's like I think if I go favorite heavy metal record, I think I'm going to go for Sammy Hagar. This Planet's on Fire.
Interesting. Okay.
Mainly because it was my first red vinyl record that I ever had.
Oh, cool.
Todd Terry said System of a Down, just in case you were curious.
I met them.
Oh, really?
They know all about Joey Belgium. I was on tour with them in 2000 in Australia Australia, and they were in the lift and they said, "Oh, it was a really good set," and I was like, "Sorry." Yeah, you played a really good set. I really like that Joey Beltram track. What's it called?
Oh, shit.
Whoa. So, yeah,
Last question. Can you feel
No, we can go for hours, man. Come on, let's go.
Can you feel it?
Can I feel it?
Can you feel it?
What, Jackson's, the Jackson 5?
Whatever that question means to you. I ask that question to everyone.
It means like, fuck me, Todd Terry did the most amazing track. 5 years later, shit, my mother had that on vinyl and I never realized it. That's what it means to me. It means like, missed it, because in those days you were all about what you sampled. If you can find weird shit and sample, and Todd is he's such a cool guy. I love Todd so much. But with Todd Terry is like, how could I miss? Can you feel it? It's been so I started going through all my mother's Millie Jackson records to see if I can find any weird other shit. It was the same thing that with S Express, when I discovered Drop That Ghetto Blaster was from Karen Finley. Okay. And I found that, and that was the weirdest a cappella I've ever heard in my life. That was really strange. I mean, Can You Feel It is the beginning of when it all really started to make sense with rave culture. For the music, it's like, Can You Feel It? Like that sort of euphoric hip hop influenced, soul influenced, everything in a melting pot, which is what we came through as English people that love music from punk into reggae. Everything in this melting pot, which Mantronix had flicked the ball, and then Todd got the ball and then did shit with his Mirage, on Sonic Mirage. The reason why I know that is because on the B-side of the Jungle Brothers, it goes, this is a blank formatted diskette. And that's exactly what happens when you put in a disc into the Mirage on Sonic sampler.
Oh, wow.
So he flicked the ball to Todd. Todd took it. And even his garage stuff had an incredible shuffle, but he took it, and then, Masters at Work, Orange Lemon,
One Lake.
I mean, so much stuff. The Mexican, I mean, seriously, and like Swan Lake. I mean, like he was just like on a flow, and it really was a perfect timing because I used to play hip hop, and it really helped bridge the gap because he was coming in at like 116 BPM, 120 BPM, and it just, in those days you have +8, -8. That's all you really did have.
Yep.
So if you're playing like Digital Underground, Do What You Like, you can pitch the fuck out of that and then go backwards and forwards, and then you can drop in like Orange Lemon, come up to Can You Feel It, and then go full acid house on everyone, which is exactly what I did.
Nice.
When I was playing in the club. You start off at like with Albie Shore, Mac Band, Bobby Brown, before we knew what Bobby Brown was doing, but that was his prerogative, not ours, perhaps. Depeche Mode, of course, Shep Pettibone remixing Depeche Mode. Mm-hmm. We'd all bring all this together because there wasn't enough for a genre really until acid house came along. So we'd bring everything together, and Todd Terry was always that bridge of like, shit's going to go off now. Time for shit to go off. Shit's going off. It's gone. It was always that bridge. And yeah, Todd, man, I'm so happy that I met him at ADE a few times. Really happy guy. Yeah, really
awesome.
I think the first time I met him was in Belgium, maybe 15 years ago, and that was cool. But I mean, we owe so much of our musical heritage to these wonderful black artists, and I hope that never gets lost.
Agreed. Did you have any upcoming projects you want to talk about, or current stuff, or?
Yeah, I do actually. So I've done a remix of a punk band. Hopefully that will come out soon. I basically, what happened when the whole of this Corona stuff happened, I was exhausted. I think I had Corona earlier because I had pneumonia for the first time in my life. It really fucked me up. And I had a car accident earlier, and I was quite exhausted actually. I'm not giving myself the time to really recover from any of these things. And then Corona came along and was actually a gift in the beginning because it said, well, you can't do anything now. So I just rested. So for 6 months, I didn't actually do anything apart from just recover. And also just see what's going to happen because I'm not sure what we're going to emerge into. And then I started to be more active in the studio. I mean, I'm doing photography now as well,
that's awesome.
which I'm really enjoying, which is really sad because I managed to get a couple of front covers with Joseph Capriati, and I'm not taking photos of anyone really right now, so that's sort of gone too. But I've been in the studio, I've been working, and I'm working on a classical music project now.
Wow, cool.
Which follows on from what we did for Variations with someone called Marcel, and we did Variations, which was about Gustav Holst. Gustav Holst meant a lot to me. That was actually the first piece of techno music I ever heard when I was at school. It blew me away. And so we did a version of that live at Charles de Gaulle Airport last year. And that's coming on TV soon, on French TV, but it's already on the internet, so you can watch it. And we've been asked by probably one of the biggest cultural television programs in France to do something live on television. Hopefully we'll get there because it's 2 countries away from here,
Right.
to do it. But we've been asked, and it's a serious program. It's not throwaway. It's culturally significant. Been around since 1972.
Wow, exciting.
It's actually quite scary, and we're working on that. And then we're going to work on a whole new load of material. I'm going to do some other projects to do with photography. And I've got ideas, but I'm already aware that the possibility of actually DJing next year is probably 85% zero.
Wow, okay. So, man, thanks a lot. I appreciate your time, and lots of luck, lots of health to you.
Thank you.
And, I hope we do get to see you play again very soon. And
cool.
Rewind.
Hey guys, hope you enjoyed that episode of the Orange Rewind. If you enjoyed the content, don't forget to hit subscribe, and don't forget to drop a comment below with song suggestions for future episodes. I'm your host, Agent Orange. Until next time, stay young, love techno.